Start your plans today at freewill.com/NEPM.
You're watching New England Public Media on WGBY Springfield.
In the 1960s, the air of resistance and turbulence helped create hip-hop. Hip-hop became our voice that was for so long silenced.
How Hip-Hop Changed the World, January 31st, or stream at NEPM.org. Connecting Point on NEPM is brought to you by Berkshire Museum, presenting Winter Festival Solstice Celebration, featuring Santa Classics by Philadelphia-based artist Ed Wheeler and Hoots Holiday, an immersive Berkshire storybook experience. More information at berkshiremuseum.org.
Coming up, we're connecting you with the creativity and culture in your community, including a fiddler who blends classical bluegrass and Celtic into a style all her own.
It is not about perfection. It is about fun. It's about feeling. It's about connecting with one another. And when we do that, they connect with us.
We'll take a look back at the life and legacy of a legendary Berkshires filmmaker.
Doug's whole body of work was about immersing the audience in just a more profound experience of film.
And advancing racial solidarity and equity through a musical celebration of Black history.
How do you harness the power of music, this universal language, as a way to sort of open doors that don't open on their own?
Join us for those stories and more as we explore the creativity, culture, and community that make us Western New England. Up next on Connecting Point.
Support for Connecting Point is provided by our contributing viewers.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us for Connecting Point, your source for creativity, culture, and community. I'm Saidalis Bauer. As we begin a new year, we're going to celebrate by taking a look back at some of our favorite stories from last year, all picked by the producers of Connecting Point. And we begin today's program with a little music. When she first started playing in New England fiddle contests, Sarah Michael was known less for her music and more as the girl with the red hat. Over time, Michael became recognized for her playing as opposed to just her colorful wardrobe. Today, Michael is more commonly known as Sarah the Fiddler. Producer Dave Frazier brings us the story of how she went from playing traditional Suzuki violin to becoming Sarah the Fiddler.
Sarah the Fiddler's passion for music is evident both in her playing and on the walls of her Southampton home. Her musical journey began at the age of 4 when she started violin lessons using the Suzuki method. By age 6, she was introduced to the fiddle and began competing in contests all over New England.
I do recall getting my first violin at the University of Hartford at a Suzuki convention. I also vividly remember my mom inviting the entire family over to watch me for my first performance at my house and dropping it.
Despite that little blunder, Sarah has continued to share her love of fiddle music all over the region, playing at festivals, in nursing homes, at weddings, and parties. A quick side note for those who might be wondering, the words fiddle and violin are two names for the same stringed instrument. In the context of classical music, it's typically called a violin. In a bluegrass band, it's more likely to be called a fiddle.
As a classical violinist, you kind of have to play by the rules, and you have to do things very specifically. And the beauty of fiddling is you can change it. Every time you play it, you can play it differently, and no two fiddlers should ever sound the same.
Sarah's fiddle collection started about 10 years ago and currently stands at 102, and of those, only 12 were made in the United States, with the oldest being made in 1870 in Boston.
Every fiddle has a different story. Every fiddle has a different voice to tell that story. I have a couple that were made from pine wood, but usually it's spruce and maple that make up these instruments. Some sing a little more sweet than others. Some have a little bit more character. Some of the older violins have dings and show their scars. And to me, that's what makes them beautiful, that they're not pristine and perfect.
On stage, Sarah is often accompanied by husband Keith De Silva on drums, Joseph Juck on piano and accordion, and Will Gorey on guitar and mandolin. Their performances take audiences on a musical journey from old-time sing-alongs to lively polkas and rousing reels.
What I like to do in a group setting is to let every musician that's working with me shine. If somebody comes to a Sarah the Fiddler show, you never really know what you're going to get. We always try to feed off of an audience. We're not a group that typically follows a very strict set of rules and guidelines when we play, meaning set lists and things like that. We kind of like the spontaneity of our program.
Fire on the mountain, the rumbles run. Devils in the house with the rising sun.
When we're, as a group, having fun and laughing while we're playing, we've had so many folks say to us, we love watching you on stage because of your interaction. And although all of us in our own right are pretty serious musicians, when we get together, it is not about perfection. It is about fun, it's about feeling, it's about connecting with one another. And when we do that, they connect with us.
Legendary Hollywood special effects wizard, filmmaker, and inventor Douglas Trumbull passed away on February 7th, 2022. The Oscar-winning Berkshires resident was responsible for the dazzling visuals in some of the most iconic films in cinema history. Later in his career, he turned to creating experiential rides like the Back to the Future simulator at Universal Studios, developing them right here in Western Massachusetts. Trumbull was still working on cutting-edge immersive cinema technology right up until his passing. And executive producer Tony Dunn takes a look back at Trumbull's life and legacy through his own words and in reflections from some of those who knew him.
Doug's whole body of work was about immersing the audience in just a more profound experience of film.
And what he created in the special effects world, it changed film forever for us. We look at film in a whole different way because of the things that Doug put in place.
Name one movie that he's done that hasn't been elevated by his work. Not just elevated, but made because of his work.
By anyone's measure, Oscar-winning motion picture director and visual effects legend Douglas Trumbull was a genius and a visionary, and one to whom science fiction movie lovers owe a great debt.
Well, first of all, there was nobody that created our vision of space better than Doug Trumbull. He just was the master at what space looks like. And he had this incredible affinity for the stars. And he had telescopes that he would take around the world and look at the stars. And I can only hope that he's up there looking down at us and finding all the things that he looked at through the telescope at this point.
But for the man responsible for the mind-bending visuals in Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey, for making the Starship Enterprise fly on the big screen for director Robert Wise, and for creating the dystopian future of Ridley Scott's Blade Runner, special effects were merely tools in service to a greater cause.
It wasn't just his effects work, it was he brought story to the effects. He also gave a lot of his input to the directors about how he felt the story should go. And a lot of directors listened to him.
Douglas Trumbull passed away on February 7th, 2022. Though he called the Berkshires home, his career started in Hollywood with a passion to make going to the movies more than just viewing images on a screen.
My interest is in experiential movies, or what I call immersive cinema. And so it's a completely different way of telling a story. And I got hooked on it long ago as a very young guy when I was working on 2001: A Space Odyssey for Stanley Kubrick. And so that was my introduction to feature film movie making. And so it led to a really, terrific resume, because being associated with that movie and special effects was a calling card that would get me into any studio. And that led to Blade Runner and Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Star Trek the Motion Picture and, you know, a lot of those kind of movies.
Not satisfied with bringing others' visions to life, Trumbull soon turned his own hand to directing. But the bureaucracy of the entertainment business left a bitter taste in his mouth.
He had been in Hollywood for many years, developed a high frame rate film technique called show scan, and had directed 2 films, Silent Running and Brainstorm, and he was hoping that the studios would do the films at a higher frame rate, and they wouldn't do it. So he got very frustrated. He moved out here to the Berkshires.
And I started looking for work that would not be feature films because I was just completely burnt out on the whole thing.
And in 1989, Steven Spielberg was hired by Universal Studios to do the Back to the Future ride. And he said there's only one person on the planet to do it, and it's Doug Trumbull.
And it was a simulation ride, and I had developed the whole simulation ride concept years before when I was at Paramount. And they couldn't figure out how to make it work. And I said, well, I'll do it. I'd love to do it. So we did the whole Back to the Future ride in these old textile mills in Housatonic, Massachusetts, about 20 minutes from here. And that was proof to me that we could actually do world-class filmmaking in a remote location like this.
We have a lot of people in this community that are very, film-oriented, but very creative, and I think that really energized Doug's soul.
Doug always had a vision of what he wanted to do, and then surrounded himself with people and just said, make it happen. So we had this incredible sort of the best here in the Berkshires working with him.
Not only did Trumbull bring amazing talent to the region, he gave generously of his time to help up-and-coming filmmakers.
He was incredible. I mean, his generosity, people talk about it all the time, but I witnessed it with, literally dozens of filmmakers that we would bring to his property. He would spend time with them. They could reach out afterwards. He was 100% about the next generation. He was 100% about being a mentor, being an inspiration for films and filmmakers.
You know, I came here 30 years ago and I met my husband. I had 2 children. I created another company, Mass Illusion, after working with him. And, I told him, maybe not enough, but I'm grateful because my life and my career are here because of him. And it happened for me and so many people.
And while his impact on the art and craft of filmmaking is undeniable, Douglas Trumbull's greatest legacy might just lie in the people that he touched along the way.
To me and most people on the set, he wasn't the technical person. He brought everybody together, and his gleam in his eye was contagious. Everyone was drawn to it and wanted to make it work the way he saw it. So he was a storyteller more than anything else.
He taught us how to think out of the box. And that was, I think, the biggest lesson from Doug, is not to do what's already been done, but to figure out what's next and what's going to create that excitement for the audience.
Doug lived up here. We live here, but Doug lived up here, and he was an incredible person.
The Black Legacy Project is produced by the nonprofit Music in Common and is a musical celebration of Black history, bringing artists of all backgrounds together to record and compose songs central to the Black American experience. With the goal of advancing racial solidarity and equity, this initiative will be traveling and collaborating with communities nationwide, bringing artists of all backgrounds together to record and compose songs central to the Black American experience. I spoke with co-directors Todd Mack and Trey Carlisle to hear how they are merging the past with the present to move forward.
We were inspired to create this in 2020 in the height of the killings of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor. And we wanted to create spaces where Black and white Americans, really all Americans, can come together and engage in intergenerational conversations, not just about the legacy of racism in the US, but the legacy of Black and white folks working in solidarity to help us move forward. So that was the inspiration for it. And as a result, what we do is we will go to a specific community, facilitate roundtable discussions that bring Black and white community members together to explore songs centered around the Black American experience and explore how they still relate to the issues today And then we have local black and white artists create present day interpretations of those songs, as well as original songs about how we can move forward.
Now, you said something that stood out to me. You were talking about, black and white Americans coming together, all Americans, really, you said. And so although the project is called the Black Legacy Project, you really have an emphasis on bringing people from all backgrounds together. Why is that so crucial?
Mainly because we're a mosaic of society in the United States. We have people from all sorts of racial, ethnic, cultural, religious backgrounds. And while the conflict, and I'm going to call it a conflict because I think that's really the approach that we're taking to building solidarity and belonging and equity, is rooted historically in black and white. In 2022, it's really the country as a whole that I think needs to address this.
Now, this is a musical celebration of Black history, as you were saying. Why was music the art form chosen for this project?
Music is a powerful tool of connection and empathy. And the empathetic and connecting aspects of music, we have found over the past 17 years, can be a powerful tool to enhance peace building and engage people in the same type of practices that we need to have in building peace, collaboration, listening to one another, recognizing our interdependence and working together. But also, we recognized when we conceptualized the project, these songs that were written by Black and white artists alike, whether it's songs like Lift Every Voice and Sing, written by James Weldon Johnson, or whether songs written by white folks in solidarity, like The Hurricane, by Bob Dylan. These songs that spoke to the legacy and realities of racial conflict and violence in the past, they still ring true today. And they have a special place in folks' hearts. So we wanted to create a space for folks to revisit these songs, see how they still relate today, and create new songs for how we can move forward.
Speaking to those songs that you're talking about, over 36 local musicians came together for this project, which is amazing. And so you recorded 6 songs that address the theme, Hope in a Hateful World. And 4 of the songs were, like you were just saying, songs that have been revisited, past songs, and then 2 originals. So tell me about that process of the song selection and just kind of reimagining and revisiting and examining these songs.
One of the things that we do is choose songs that have a direct connection to the community that the project is in. And that's a lot of exhaustive research that Trey primarily takes the lead on, looking at what songs, what artists have a connection, or even themes have a connection to the local community.
I'm glad that you brought up that connection that the songs have to the local history, because that was something that really amazed me when I was reading about the project. All of those selections, the 4 existing songs, have a tie-in to Berkshires, specifically with Black history. So can you share some of that connection that the songs have to the area?
So one of the songs we chose was Strange Fruit, which was written by Abel Meeropol and made popular by Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday performed a couple of times in the Berkshires, especially in the later part of her career when she was performing Strange Fruit. And then Strange Fruit was written by Abel Meeropol, who was friends and associates with W.B. Du Bois. W.B. Du Bois is like an iconic thought leader and advocate for Black legacy. And he was born and raised in Great Barrington in the Berkshires. So that was the tie that Strange Fruit has to the song, to the Black Legacy Project and to the Berkshires. We also had folks create an artistic interpretation of W.B. Du Bois' poem, My Country 'Tis of Thee. And then we chose Lift Every Voice and Sing for artists to explore, which is written by James Weldon Johnson, who would travel to the Berkshires to do some of his most meaningful writings in poetry. And then We Shall Overcome, we also chose as a song to explore, which was made popular by Pete Seeger, who has close ties with the Guthrie family, like Woody Guthrie, Arlo Guthrie, whose home base is in the Berkshires.
Todd, I know that you found that in response to the murder of your friend and bandmate Daniel Pearl, who was abducted and murdered in Pakistan in 2002. And so this was in response to that. And you've done amazing work in over 300 communities helping repair these fractures. So how does it feel to be carrying on this type of legacy work? And then Trey, how does it feel to be part of it as well?
Wow. That's a great question. And thank you for that acknowledgement. And, you know, I think the work that we're doing with the Black Legacy Project, really like everything that I think Music in Common has been engaged in, is how do you harness the power of music, this universal language, as a way to sort of open doors that don't open on their own. I think there's such a direct correlation to what we're doing now, as much as the work that we've done in interfaith contexts or in overseas in the Middle East or the Far East. And it's just amazing to be a part of it, and it's amazing to see it grow. And it's amazing to have new young leaders who start out as participants in our programs come take the reins and help lead it.
For the past 10 years, the block of Ray Street in Holyoke between Dwight and Middle Streets has become a burgeoning hub for arts and entertainment in the area. This is thanks in no small part to the addition of the Gateway City Arts Complex and all that it entails. But there are several artists contributing in their own unique way, including artist Debra Dunphy. In our next segment, join Connecting Point's Brian Sullivan as he attends one of Dunphy's painting classes and chats with students, some of whom have been committed to their instructor for nearly 20 years.
It's late morning, early afternoon on a Wednesday at 80 Ray Street in Holyoke. And while Marianne Benz quietly puts the final coat of glaze on her ceramics, next door, it sounds like there's a party going on, albeit a very well-behaved party. The units in this building are home to several local artists who tend to keep to themselves. But here at Debra Dunphy's art studio and gallery, it's a place where people not only learn to paint, or learn to paint better, but also have fun and enjoy the camaraderie in the process.
I wanted a place where people can feel welcome and safe. And, you know, I wanted people to feel good about themselves and be productive. You know, have fun, meet people, and learn something.
It's been a long journey from her days of working in the fishing industry back in New Bedford to establishing herself as the kind of artist with a waiting list of people wanting to take her classes. And so far, the retention rate is pretty high.
I've been here about 7 years. Found Debra at the Windsor Palette and Brush Club when she came and did a demo for us. And we liked what she did at the club, so we decided we would sign up for painting lessons.
But while Betty and her husband have been regulars in class for several years, Dunphy does almost no advertising for her classes. So if there are going to be any new members, it's usually through word of mouth, or happenstance, as it was in the case of Bruce Gendron.
This is a framing shop in West Springfield, and he had, Debra paints animals, and he had a couple of portraits of dogs up there, and her card was there. So we started talking, and, you know, he said, she's very good, she has classes, and that's where I heard about her.
The workspace may be elbow to elbow these days, but there was a window of time when things looked bleak. It was during this time that these students showed that this is more than just some class. This is their community, and Debra Dunphy is the reason that they keep coming back.
You can do it. You can do it. They've been so great. They've been very helpful to me during the pandemic, because I had to close my group for a while, so that was really tough. But they were right there for me. They were still sending me checks, you know, to keep the classes going, because they wanted to make sure I was still here. And I don't know, it's just, you know, I love them all, and I've had them here for years. My oldest one, not oldest person, but the one that's been with me the longest is Bernadette, and she was with me for 20 years.
And that 20-year run in Western Massachusetts started right here in this section of Holyoke for Dunphy, just not on this side of the water. For the longest time, the building just on the other side of the canal here served as the arts hub in town. In fact, Debbie Dunphy was there for 10 years before coming here in 2013. And just within the past few years, this little stretch of buildings here on Ray Street has become the new hotspot.
this is the best class that I've had in a long time. I mean, it's very friendly. We learn a lot. She takes interest in each student and how they progress. And she's keyed into every student, no matter what level you are.
There does appear to be one element serving as the thread that ties this community together, and it's not proper brushstrokes or use of negative space. Its sounds emanate from this little device here, and it often sets the tone for the entire class.
Debra always has music on, so if it's something that, you know, we're not all the same age, but roughly within a century or two, you know. So when something comes on, the heads start nodding. They recognize this tune right away, all set to belt out the chorus, you know. So it's fun.
If you come in and you're all worked up and tight, by the time you leave here, you're feeling good.
I want them to feel fulfilled, like they came and they got something out of it. I want them to walk out half an hour later and still feel good about it and not feel any bad vibes. I just want good vibes.
And that does it for this edition of Connecting Point. Remember, you can always find all of the stories that you saw in this episode, as well as exclusive features, digital-only content, and so much more online anytime at nepm.org/connectingpoint. Our thanks to Old Sturbridge Village for hosting us today. And please be sure to join us again every week right here for more stories of the creativity, culture, and community that make us Western New England. I'm Cydalis Bauer. Thanks for watching and take care.
Support for Connecting Point is provided by our contributing viewers. Connecting Point on NEPM is brought to you by Berkshire Museum, presenting Winter Festival Solstice Celebration, featuring Santa Classics by Philadelphia-based artist Ed Wheeler and Hoots Holiday, an immersive Berkshire storybook experience. More information at berkshiremuseum.org.
Budapest is to Hungary as what city is to Romania?
To Romania? Oh no. Geography has never been my strong suit.
Find out the answer and play along with us Saturday night at 7 as Frontier Regional meets East Longmeadow on As Schools Match Wits.
You make a good team.
As long as we're together, it's perfect.
Surviving Siegfried.
You're the most ridiculous creature.
I hope you're referring to the dog. I'm not going to give up on you. Don't give up on me either.
Dreams do come true. Hey, lad?
Seems they do.
The new season of All Creatures Great and Small premieres Sunday at 9.
How would you like to double the impact of your gift to New England Public Media? Dozens of local businesses are matching their employees' contributions dollar for dollar, and one of those local businesses or institutions might be yours. Support the programs you love in a big way. Learn more at nepm.org.
Reed Davenport takes you on a journey of being seen but not heard. From the vantage point of his wheelchair, he explores the history of freedom and invisibility.
I wanted to make a film about our eyes of the world.
I Didn't See You There on POV.
Watch I Didn't See You There Monday at 10 on NEPM.
My wife and I are raising 2 young boys, Gideon and Monarch.
We're a total PBS Kids family. We love, especially Gideon, Peg plus Cat, and Daniel Tiger.
Monarch, he's really into animals, so we usually watch Dinosaur Train or Wild Kratts. He was so much into Wild Kratts, I had to get a membership to the zoo. PBS Kids shows us a world we can go out and explore together.
And it brings us together as a family, and I really value that.
You're watching New England Public Media, WGBY Springfield.
In the 1960s, the era of resistance and turbulence helped create hip-hop. Hip-hop became our voice that was for so long silenced.
When we look at a global context, people across cultures can listen and say, that's my story too.
How Hip Hop Changed the World, January 31st, or stream at nepm.org.